Assalamu alaikum, how's it going, and welcome to a new episode of Fullmetal Fukumi Otaku News. So, like always, I'm going to start with some quick self-PR to talk about my coffee blog and the stuff I'm doing there. Most notably, I've been covering the Heaven Burns Red Japanese official live streams, where they reveal new information and stuff. Obviously, I'm not covering like story spoilers, I'm only talking about the new gameplay stuff and the new memoria, the new styles they reveal and stuff, the new patches with some balance patches and some change they bring to the game. And most notably, because it was Golden Week in Japan, right? The long vacation, the succession of several holidays in Japan, they did several big campaigns in the Japanese version of the game. So there was a stream 2 weeks ago on April 17th where they talked about these campaigns. So that's the last stream I covered and I translated it. And yeah, so yeah, even if you only play the English version of Heaven Burns Red, these are pretty interesting to check out because they talk about some of the collabs. Most notably, they're doing a Girls Band Cry collab concert with between She Is Legend, the singers of Heaven Burns Red, and the singers of Girls Band Cry. They do a lot of stuff in Japan as well. So sadly, I don't live in Japan, right? But like if you actually live in Japan, there's a lot of merch and a lot of collabs they've been doing. And most notably in the last stream, they were talking about the spa collab that Heaven Burns Red did with a onsen and stuff. So they did some kind of documentary, some kind of report video to show the merch, to show the venue and how the spa was decorated and like all the stuff you could eat, like the dessert you could order, etc. And the San Ichie themed spa, it's like the thing like Tsukasachi, and I think it was Tsukasachi and like maybe sometimes Megumin, sometimes they put some salts, some buff salts in the bath, right? So they try to tame it around that. So yeah, so if you're interested, you should check it out. And there was also the Tokyo Tower collab as well that they've been doing. They said even if the collab is ending, they will keep selling the merch from the collab in menu store. So you'll still be able to buy this. Like maybe if you go in Japan until 2026, they'll keep selling the merch. So if you end up in Japan before then, you'll be able to buy this. So yeah, you should check out these summaries they've been doing. And regarding Heaven Burns Red itself, the English version of the game has finally revealed a release date for the first Angel Beats collab in the game. So they published a trailer in English as well with the opening of Angel Beats. And I'm gonna keep talking over it because I'm not sure if YouTube will strike me or not, so I'm gonna keep talking just in case. So this is going to be the first collab, Angel Beats collab in Heaven Burns Red, and it focused on Miyuki, who was the drummer in Girls Dead Monster. She was a drummer, and she's one of the many characters that in the anime you never really get to see her backstory or anything. So this collab focuses on her and shows what happened to her and how she ended up in the afterworld, etc. So this was released in 2023 in the Japanese version, and now it's going to be released in the English version. And the pretty cool thing about it is how they're slowly adding Angel Beast character to the game. So with this first collab, you will have Kanaji plus playable character, and Yurippe, and then Miyuki. So 3 characters for now. And in the Japanese version, we had 3 collabs so far. So with more and more characters, I'm not gonna tell you which one it is, but like for now, you're going to get Yurippe and Kanaji, and Miyuki. So if you are an Angel Beats fan, like the collab is going to release on May 16th. So to be honest, Angel Beats, because it's like 15 years old by now, I don't think like many anime fans, like younger anime fans, I'm not sure if they even know about the series anymore. Because like it's not, I'm not even sure if it's on Netflix and stuff. So and if you like Angel Beats, you should definitely play this because basically this is just like if the cancelled Angel Beats game, basically they took the roots that were supposed to be in the cancelled games to put it in the Heaven Burns Red collab basically. So this is basically Miyuki's root from the cancelled game, so you should play it out. And so yeah, so you'll have Kanade as a SS style SS Memoria, so you have to roll her, and then Yuri she's free, so as long as you log in for 10 days, you'll get at least Yuripe for free, and you'll get Miyuki for free as well. And Miyuki is a pretty good healer, and Yuripe is a really good unit as well because she in the game in Heaven's Bezwer you have multiple roles basically. It's like an RPG. You have like the tanks, like the healers, etc. And Miyuki is one of the best healers in the game, and Yuripe is a really good attacker and a good like blaster at the same time. So they are both really good characters, and Kanade is a really good character as well. So if you've been playing Heaven Bezwer for a long time, if you've been waiting for this collab, you should definitely roll for Kanade. And so yeah, and if you're about to start playing the game, I really recommend it. And like, it's not a pay to win game, especially compared to early days of the Japanese version. A lot of quality of life improvements were made. Like they changed a lot of stuff in the game, so I can like recommend it like without too many warnings nowadays. So yeah, and there also, I think that's everything, right? And so yeah, if you like Angel Beats, you definitely check out Heaven Burns Red on the collab happening. And the one last thing I wanted to say is the story. Like, I'm not gonna go into spoilers, but like Miyuki's story is like pretty dark. But like, if you watch the anime, the original anime, you should know what kind of stuff to expect. So it's more or less the same thing. Like there was a lot of like, I don't like saying edgy because this sounds kind of pejorative, but like there were a lot of very dark backstories and flashbacks in the Angel Beats anime, right? So you should expect like this kind of around this kind of same level of darkness and dark themes, basically. So yeah. So the second thing I wanted to talk about is how mages, they announced a new Gotoubun no Hanayome game, the Quintessential Quintuplets, I think is the English name. Like, I don't, like, it's harder for me to pronounce the English name than the Japanese name. Like, Japanese is just Gotoubun no Hanayome, and in English it's like Quintessential Quintuplets or something. So back in April 30, they were teasing a new game in the Gotoubun no Hanayome series. This will be the fourth console game because there was a gacha on mobile and there were free games. The first two console games, they actually got an English release. The first one was released in 2022 in Japan, and the second one in 2023. But in 2024, they released both games together in a pack in English. So this shows this is a pretty popular series. Personally, I never really got into it, but like this is one of the most popular romantic comedies of these last 10 years. Because they actually bothered to localize these games, right? So the first two games were localized, and the third game, it was a third game's Gotopazu Party, it was basically a console version of the gacha game, because the gacha game, it was a puzzle game with some puzzle elements, and they closed it down, but they basically made a console offline version for people to play instead, to preserve the game story, etc. They did a console port, and that's what released in 2023 in Japan, and this one is still a Japanese exclusive. They didn't release it in English yet. So now they announced a fourth game, and the first two games, they were ADV. ADV is like in Japanese, is how we call visual novels, basically. The first two games, it was like classic ADV games with each girl having her own route and her own ending, and like a typical galge with choices and like stuff like that. But this time they actually say this is going to be a dungeon crawler. So this is pretty interesting for several reasons. And they published some screenshots, some CG screenshots. So just like the ADV games, you will have some events, like depending on your choices, depending on who you bring in your party, you'll get some different events with different girls, different heroines. But they didn't say who inside Mages is developing the game, because Mages are several like departments. Like you have the people like under Shiomaru Shikura who are doing the science adventure series like Steins Gate, Robotic Nuts, Chaos Head, etc. And then you have another studio who is doing anime adaptations like this, and I think there's the same one, because there was a what was the name? Konosuba Sky ni Shukufuku o, Konosuba God's Blessing in this wonderful world, the English name. The anime, the comedy anime, fantasy comedy anime with Megumin with those explosions, Aqua, the useless goddess, etc. They did a similar game like this, a dungeon crawler on Konosuba. So I think it's the team who did the Konosuba dungeon crawler game who is doing this new Gotoubun dungeon crawler game. So yeah, they published a few screenshots, and like it's going to be like first person view. So just like a typical dungeon crawler, you have your party with their stats and the status at the bottom, and then you advance, you explore the dungeon in first person. So they published these screenshots, but there's no trailer yet, so we only have some screenshots. And yeah, and they publish some profiles for all the characters. Like you have all the heroines, the 5 sisters from the anime, like the 5 sisters from the anime with their seiyuu. So they didn't specify if the game will be fully voiced or not. I don't think they said so. So I assume it won't be full voiced, because if it was full voice, they would definitely mention it, but they didn't. So I think maybe it's only a few events and a few CG scenes will be voiced, and I guess the battles as well, but like probably not the full game. So yeah, so they publish profiles for all the 5 main girls, 5 main heroines, the protagonist, the MC, and then some of the other characters who appear in the anime who will be in the game as well. So they already published the info for a limited edition as well. Yeah, and the game is going out on PS4 and Nintendo Switch, and they also publish like shop tokuten, like mise tokuten. These are shop-specific pre-order bonuses. This is something that always happen with Japanese games in Japan, especially when it comes to anime games like this. Is basically every shop you have animates, you have gamers, you have I forgot the names, but you have big camera. All these shops, they have different specific pre-order bonuses. So the biggest fans, like the hardcore fans and hardcore otaku, what they do is they buy a version of the game at every store, they pre-order at every store, and then they keep the merch, and then they resell the game alone. So that's what people tend to do. Like if you got the money and if you are a big enough fan, that's what people do to get everything. And yeah, so every single shop, you have gamers, you have, for example, clear files at gamers. Amazon has a different clear file. Like Rakuten Books, they have a different clear file. AB10, they have a different clear file, etc. So if you're rich, you buy them all. If you're not rich, you just focus on your favorite characters. So this is something like every single like niche anime game I've been doing for decades in order to make some money, because they are not very popular. So yeah, the game will be released on Switch, PS5, PS4 on September 18th in Japan, and they didn't announce an English release yet, but I assume it probably come by at some point, seeing the Gotoubun series is pretty popular, and seeing the Konosuba dungeon crawler game, I think it was released in English as well, so they will probably release this one in English too. And mages, especially, like they often work with Spike Chunsoft to localize their games, so I assume that this will probably get an English release at some point. So yeah, that's it for Gotoubun no Hanayome. So the next thing on the menu I want to talk about is the Memories of series, which is like a galge series going on for like over 25 years. It started on PS1 only in Japan, and this is one of these series I always talk about, like, you know, the kind of series I know about since I was a kid, but since it's all in Japanese, I couldn't play it, and nowadays I wanted to try and play it. So MemoOff, it was started like 25 years ago on PS1, like in 1999 on PS1, and recently mages, the same mages I was talking about just now regarding Gotoubun no Hanayome, they released all the past games. There's 8 games in the series, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the 7 original games. They all got released on PS4 and Switch as a collection called Memories of Historia. And this collection was now also posted on Steam a few months ago. Sadly, it's only in Japanese and in Chinese, because, like I always say, visual novels and galgi and stuff are extremely popular in Asia besides Japan, and the Chinese market especially is extremely important for these games. So nowadays, every single ADV game, every single visual novel, they get a Chinese localization, and that's even where they do their most of their sales, even more than Japan. So even if some games don't get English localizations, they'll always get Chinese localizations. So Memories of Historia is like the first 7 games in the series, but each of these games, they had fan discs, right? If you watching this video, you probably know what fan discs are. It's like in visual novels, once you reach an ending, fan discs are like a continuation of each ending. So it's called fan disc because it's like it's the same meaning as fan service. It's like for the fans. So it's for people who really like the game and they want to see more of the game. So in Fandisc, what you always have is like short sequels, like showing you what happened after each heroine's route, or after the true ending of the game, etc. So they show you what happens. So each Memories of game, they had their own fan disc, but these are not in this collection. But now Mages has announced that they will release the fan discs separately on July 24th. 2025 on PS4 and Switch. So these are the fan discs for each of these 7 games that will be all compiled in a new collection. So there's 5 fan discs in total. And they announced this just a few weeks ago, I think, but like I didn't have the time to talk about it yet because this is like kinda weekly news show, but not really weekly. But yeah, so you have the fan disc for the first Memories of game, and then the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and the fifth one. And you can also, it's actually a good series that one thing I like about long running series like this is you can tell how the character design changed over the decades as well. And personally, it is a bit of a complicated discussion because I don't like saying that each decade or each era has its own specific styles of character designs, because at the end of the day, every era, every decade has many different character designs. So I don't like people, for example, a lot of people, they say 80s character design is like Sailor Moon, but that's not true because there are tons of other character designs as well. And even inside the Sailor Moon anime itself, you had multiple anime directors. Every series, they have multiple anime directors, and depending on who directed the specific episode, the characters will look slightly different. So even in the same series, the character design is always changing. So there's no specific character design for a specific era, but it's still funny when you look at a long-running series like this to see how the character design has changed over the years, right? So, and especially you can tell like this is late 2000s, early 2010s, like you can easily tell. So yeah, and this collection of fan disc, it was actually originally in the limited edition of the brand new game in the series, which is celebrating the 25th anniversary of the series, which is Memories of Sousou, Not Always True. And this was released just a few weeks ago on PC, PS4, and Switch. So it is a brand new game. It was released on April 10th, only in Japanese, obviously, and in Chinese as well. So to be honest, I checked a little bit of the opinions on the game, and apparently it's kinda not as good as the older ones apparently, but I still wanna try and play it one day. But yeah, I want to play the older ones first and then climb back slowly and reach back slowly to the newer ones. So even if this is new, like I'm not the kind of person who gets like swept by the hype and like who wants to play new stuff as soon as it's out. I prefer like going back to the roots, going back to the first thing and playing little bit by little. And even if every game is standalone, by the way, there's no like overarching story. Every game is standalone, but even so, I don't want to play the newer ones first. I always want to try and play the older ones first to in a series and see how the series has evolved and how the series has changed over the years. That's what I like doing. So that's my way of doing things when I play older games. So I always try to prioritize older games over new ones, especially nowadays when I'm not particularly interested in new games and I just want to play all the older Japanese games I couldn't play when I was a kid because I couldn't speak Japanese. So yeah, so Memories of Sousou no Taresu, they had a limited edition, if you can. I think I open it here. So it was released on April 10th, and there was a limited edition with the fan disc, right? So for now, until now, only the people who bought the limited edition of this game could get the fan disc, but now they're releasing it separately. So this is a really good news. And yeah, I'll probably get this at some point, inshallah. But I need to play the first 7 games. Like the plan, like the really good plan would be like play each game and then play its fan disc, right? So play the first game and then the fan disc for the first game, etc. And ideally, I wanna try and play the original PS1 versions as well. I'm gonna buy the Steam version to give them money, but then I wanna emulate the original PS1 games to just like maybe like to get like the authentic, even it's not authentic because I'm gonna emulate it because like I'm not gonna go over the trouble of like finding a real PS1. To be honest, I actually do have one probably below my bed. I probably still have my old PS1, but yeah, I'm not gonna go into the trouble of hunting a real copy and hunting a Japanese PS1, etc. Like it's way too much trouble. So yeah. Yeah, so I'm really excited for this, and it's pretty cool that this series is still ongoing. And even if I didn't hear many good things about the newest one, like hopefully it's still like a success overall, and hopefully the series will continue as well. Because in 2019, I think they already released a new one. It was called Shin Memories. It was like a wordplay. Shin's Memories and Shin Memories. Shin Memo. It was released like 4 or 5 years ago. It's probably on the site somewhere, or maybe not. So yeah, they introduce the characters, their relationships, etc. And she's also like this is a kind of like, I don't like saying old school, but this is like the kind of garge before like purity otaku was like a big thing, and before they started making a lot of games with absolutely no male characters and only female characters, or like when it's come to joseimuke, they do games where there are only male characters and no female characters. It was like before this like gender segregation was a thing. So because it's an older series, they don't do this stuff where you only have female characters, so you have a lot of male characters, you have a lot of different characters, etc. So just one of the things I like about Memories of as well, and one reason why I always wanted to play this series. So yeah, and you have the protagonists, and then you have the heroines, and then you have all the side characters, etc. So yeah, yeah. So that's all for Memories of. So I wanted to quickly talk about this as well. Ghost of Yotei is the next game by Sucker Punch, the sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. To be honest, I'm not particularly interested in the game because I'm not a big fan of these kind of action games, but I wanted to talk about it for a few minutes because they revealed that the protagonist of the game in the Japanese version is going to be voiced by Fairouz Ai, and Fairouz Ai is like one of my favorite seiyuu, like one of my favorite newcomer seiyuu, but I call her a newcomer, but like she's been voicing for over 10 years now, so she's not that new anymore. But yeah, I still call her a newcomer seiyuu because like to me she still feels this way, and she's like my favorite newcomer seiyuu. Most probably everyone knows her nowadays for voicing Jolene in Stone Ocean in JoJo Part 6. So like she got popular with this, but like she was already pretty popular before that. And like you probably definitely heard that story about how JoJo is like her favorite series ever, and Jolene is her favorite character. So it was like a dream come true for her to voice her, right? And by the way, she was replacing Sawashiro Miyuki, because Sawashiro Miyuki was voicing Jolene in the game's adaptation so far, but in the anime they changed all the cast and they picked Fairouz Ai. So yeah. She's going to voice Atsu, the female protagonist of Ghost of Tsushima, and in the Japanese trailer they revealed a few days ago, you can hear her speak a little bit as well. Like, there's a few moments where she's speaking, but not much. So I'm gonna just skip to the moments where she's speaking. Like, you have this beginning, and then later here. And you can tell it's her, but you can tell she has a lot of French, Fairouz Ai, and she's a really, really awesome seiyuu. Like, you can hear her speak at the end of the trailer as well. So, like, even I doubt I will ever play this, but like, first off, I'm really happy for her because she's getting more and more bigger roles, and like, this is really, really cool. Yeah, at the end of the trailer, she's talking a little bit more again. So yeah, gaming will release in October 2nd, 2025. So yeah, Fairouz Ai, she's one of my favorite seiyuu. She's my favorite newcomer, female newcomer seiyuu. When it comes to male seiyuu, it's Azakami Yohei, who was voicing Braven, who was voicing Kamiyama Seijuro in Shin Sakura Taisen, etc. But anyway, so Fairouz Ai is my favorite newcomer female seiyuu, and she debuted in 2014, she was voicing Shonagon in FGO, and then her first debut role was Hibiki, the protagonist of Danberu Nankiro Moteru. So she's a pretty cool, pretty funny manga about weightlifting and about muscle training. Like, I used to read the manga. It's pretty funny, and it's pretty educational. Actually, they actually give you a lot of advice, etc. And since then, her first really big role was Manatsu in Healing Good Precure. She was voicing the protagonist. So, like, when you get to voice a Precure, like, you made it big already. Like, you know, your talent has been recognized. And so yeah, I'm pretty happy for her because sadly the seiyuu industry is congested. It's like fully congested, and every seiyuu is actually extremely talented, but the problem is not a lot of them actually gets to be put on a pedestal and gets to be put under the spotlight. So a lot of them end up quitting or end up retiring because the seiyuu industry is so difficult when you're a newcomer and you're paid like peanuts and you need to do other jobs on the side. And like, even as even if you're extremely talented, it doesn't have anything to do with whether you're actually going to make money or not. So I'm happy like Fairouz Ai managed to get this big, and like she was also Alice in Really-chan Season 3. I need to finish watching this at some point. So yeah, because I always say that I don't watch that much anime since 2016. I don't really watch a lot of ongoing anime seasonally. I just watch stuff when it's ended, and I watch older stuff. So I'm not that familiar with most of the roles. It was also Sumire in Kunoichi Tsubaki no Mune Inuichi. They're really, really cool and funny manga. They did an anime that only adapts a small part, so personally I would recommend the manga. I didn't watch the anime, so I'm not sure if it's good or not. And she was obviously power in Chainsaw Man. Chainsaw Man, I'm not really interested in it, to be honest. Like, I'm not sure if I will ever check it out because everyone already knows about it anyway, so I don't personally like, it's not like I'm avoiding popular stuff, but like I've never been particularly interested in it anyway. So yeah, she's also Nanjamo in Pokemon in starting the anime adaptation, because obviously Pokemon games there's no voices, right? So starting when they started doing adaptations of Scarlet Violet and they picked seiyuu, they picked Fairouz Ai for Nanjamo. And she was also roles are like I think that's everything, right? Like, that's, and like, yeah, if you like people who watch like the popular shonen of the moment, etc. She's also this girl in Kaiju number 8, Kaiju Hachigo. Kaiju Hachigo is like, it's kind of like Sakamoto Days. It's kind of like all these recent Shonen Jump manga. I tried to read it, but I couldn't get into it. Like I didn't really care. Like it's like I guess maybe I'm too old, but at the same time, I don't think that some of the older Shonen Jumps manga were this bland at the beginning. So I don't think it's just me being old. It's more like, in my opinion, like the quality, overall quality has kind of dropped as well. And Kagurabachi is actually pretty good. I still haven't read it in a few years, like I only read the first chapters, but Kagurabachi, besides the memes and besides the fake hype on Twitter, is actually pretty good in my opinion. I need to catch up to it. I actually liked it pretty much. Like it's one of the few battle shonen jump manga of these last 10 years. Like from the first chapters, I thought it was pretty interesting. So yeah, and who else she voiced? So yeah, and also one thing I wanted to point out is how oh yeah, and she's also Shiroren in Genshin, and she was also Aira in Armored Core 6, and she's also Berorta in Nike, Shori no Megami Nike. So yeah, other thing I want to talk about is how back in 2024, in December 2024, she was announcing that she's in indefinite hiatus actually. So Fairouz Ai, actually, all her new roles that have been published lately is actually stuff she recorded before going into hiatus, because as you may know, especially for games, and especially for a AAA game like this, they must have done like the dubbing for Ghost of Yotei, Japanese dubbing, maybe over 1 year ago. So yeah, they for anime as well, they tend to do this pretty early. And I think she's kind of back from hiatus now because she's getting some new anime roles lately. So I think hopefully she feels better, because she was saying she had like PTSD. So she didn't specify it, so I don't want to go into speculations. But one big thing important to note is that being a seiyuu nowadays is extremely stressful and extremely taxing on your mental health. So a lot of seiyuu end up quitting, a lot of seiyuu end up like burning out or taking hiatus and stuff. So hopefully she feels better nowadays. And so the last thing I wanted to talk about today in this episode is Break My Case. And Break My Case is it's a game currently on mobile, and it's a joseimuke game. So it's primarily targeting a female audience. And I wanted to talk about this because they announced they're going to make a butai adaptation, stage play. They're going to make a stage play adaptation of the game, and it's going to be held in 2026. So she's pretty interesting for several reasons. First off, every joseimuke game, they all do stage plays because basically joseimuke stuff series that are primarily aimed at a female audience, they tend to do stage plays adaptations more than anime adaptations. So every single popular game and joseimuke series, they all have their own stage plays and musicals, because that's the legacy of the Tenimyu, the Prince of Tennis no Oji-sama musicals, and the what was Capcom Sengoku Basara got really popular with its stage plays as well, like this kind of series. And then you had also Hakuoki, etc. In the mid 2000s, you had a lot of joseimuke series that got bigger and bigger, and most probably they did some stage plays, and that's how the tradition really got going. But before that, you already had Sakura Taisen, and you already had, of course, also the Takarazuka review culture, etc. So it's all stems from that, right? So Break My Case is going to do a stage play in 2026, and the game was released a little bit more than a year ago now, and I didn't have the time to play it yet. And they regularly do live streams to reveal the new characters, the new gacha styles of the characters with some live 2D animations. They do these live streams with the seiyuu. So they reveal the new information on the game, etc. As they talk about the game, reveal new information. The gameplay itself, Break My Case, it's a puzzle game mixed with kinda rhythm game elements. So this is the actual gameplay on mobile. Basically, you need to align the same symbols, and then it's basically the symbols disappear when the music line reaches that column. And this is basically a mix between puzzle and rhythm games. It's very similar to, I don't know if you know this game, it's called Luminous on PSP. It's kind of similar to this, right? It was one of the games released in the early 2000s on PSP, and this was by Mizuguchi Tetsuya, right? This was two games Mizuguchi Tetsuya directed, I think, or produced, maybe produced or directed, or I should have checked. But there was Luminous on PSP, and there was Meteos on Nintendo DS. This was basically the two sides of the same coin. Basically, you had Meteos on Nintendo DS, which was a puzzle game, a Tetris like vertical puzzle game with rhythm game elements, and you had Luminous on PSP, which was like an horizontal puzzle game with rhythm game elements as well. And this kind of reminds me, Break My Case kind of reminds me of Luminous in how the way they thought out the game is kind of similar. And just like every single joseimuke mobile sociage gacha game, you have tons like extremely popular seiyuu in the game. For example, this voice right now. Can you recognize who this is? This voice. This. This is Fukuyama Jun, from who's known everywhere for voicing Lelouch in Code Geass, Joker in Persona, etc. So you have tons of very popular, like cool bishonen in the game, and all voiced by extremely popular seiyuu. So Kyoya Shido is a character voiced by Fukuyama Jun, Fukujun. So you have him, you have this character, Mikado Takeru, voiced by Yuki Ono. Yuki Ono, who is Gran in Grand Blue, is a lot of this guy in Beastars, like very, very popular seiyuu. And you have Ayato Ko, voiced by Taniyama Kisho. Taniyama Kisho is a seiyuu singer. He's the singer of Grand Rodeo, which is a very popular anison group, which is popular since like over 20 years now. Japanese rock band Grand Rodeo, and they did the Needless opening. They did a lot of openings in the past, and he also regularly voiced his characters. And he was also Dark Schneider in the new Bastard remake. Like he regularly voiced his character. He's John in Shingeki. That's probably his biggest, like his most mainstream role, probably. You have this guy Ukio Mao, voiced by Chiaki Kobayashi. Chiaki Kobayashi is kinda new, I think, but kinda not so new. Like he's one of the seiyuu like I'm not that familiar with, but I think it's pretty popular as well because he was this guy in Frieren, Stark in Frieren. I didn't watch Frieren, but it's one of the most popular anime now of these last 5 years. So this is like one of these big roles, and he's also Mash in Mashle. And then you have Kanno Yuragi, who is voiced by Terashima Junta, and Terashima Junta is one of my favorite seiyuu because he's Shin in King of Prison, obviously, and he also recently voiced Ifa in Genshin, replacing Morikubo Shotaro. Morikubo Shotaro, like because of like political reasons, because China doesn't like he appears. That's like not the official reason, but that's what everyone guessed. Is how basically all the Chinese game he was voicing on, he got removed because he participated in a read aloud of for the Uyghurs persecuted in China, so they ended up firing him. All the Chinese games basically ended up firing him, and Terashima Junta replaced him in Genshin. So yeah, Terashima Junta voiced Shin in King of Prison. He's voicing the guy with the hat in Is 8. I forgot his name. The guy with the hat and the gun and the rifle in Is 8 is voicing like several characters alike. Then you have Fushimi Suzuka, who's voiced by Matsuoka Yoshitsugu. Matsuoka Yoshitsugu is Kirito in Sword Art Online, obviously. And he's also the MC of Gotoubun no Hanayume I was talking about earlier. And then you have Tateshima Riku, who is voiced by Katsuyuki Konishi. Konishi Katsuyuki is Lloyd in Tales of Symphonia, is Laxus in Fairy Tail. Tons of very popular roles everyone knows about, like maybe not everyone because this is getting kind of old now, but he was Ozma in Macross Frontier. He was Pinion in Suisei no Gargantia. I really liked the series. Sadly, it was kind of maybe like a lot of One Crow series was kind of weird near the end. And he was this guy Burat in Akamega Kill, one of the best character in the series. Like one of the few good things about Akamega Kill, but I'm not gonna say this because some people will get mad. But yeah, he was also who else? Like a lot of he regularly still does a lot of characters. So he's one of the veteran seiyus voicing since the 90s. So he's still voicing a lot of characters. Oh, he was this guy in Golden Kamuy as well. I forgot his name. Like so, yeah. All these joseimuke series, all these joseimuke games, they all get a lot of popular seiyuu to voice their characters. And one thing interesting to note as well is these last few years, all these joseimuke series, they always have a few queer characters in the cast as well. This is the case of Mikado Takeru, who is like extremely feminine pronouns they them, like very extremely feminine. And their nickname is Mikane-san, Mika sister. And this is pretty cool that every joseimuke game now, every joseimuke, they always have a few queer characters now, because like this depends of your point of view. Personally, I think it's a good thing, but the sociage gacha games characters, they're all stereotyped. So while this is a good thing, this is often the kind of onesan, like a bar owner, like a club owner, like in what was the name? Busta Fairouz. In Busta Fairouz, you have a character like that. In many joseimuke games recently, you have characters like that. But personally, I think this is really cool. And so yeah, so you have a lot of popular seiyuu. Sadly, break my case, there's no English version yet, there's only a Japanese version, and I actually never played the game myself. I need to try it out pretty soon when I have the time. So yeah, so the game is working pretty well if they are doing a stage play adaptation, and hopefully at some point they will do an anime. And once they do an anime, more people around the world will start getting interested, and maybe it's going to get bigger. So yeah, that's it for this episode of MemoOff Otaku News. Thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye.